when I put out this album, I'm gonna go gold because the time is now. The time wasn't right then, you know what I'm saying? It was a little off time. The time is now.
They beat the nigga so bad, he told us who did it. He told, it got back to the city that the guys that did it, it was like, yo, Big L did that.
Every time I went to Harlem and see Big L that he was gonna fight, he thought he was fighting your size, like the biggest in the world. He's like this.
Big L was more than just a rapper, he was a force. His punchlines hit like brass knuckles, and his flow cut sharper than a switchblade. He had a natural command, the kind that made the streets listen and the industry respect him. But here's the thing, Big L did not create a persona for fame. He rapped what he lived. There was no filter, no pretending. If you stepped out of line, Big L did not send warnings, he sent messages.
This Big L is crazy, man. He was a big gambler. You know, Big L would gamble all the time, and, you know, he would fight like big.
When the dude get locked up, he goes into jail, start calling me, yo, in here that just took y'all watch or something, you know. And this got crazy on the dude in jail. They beat the so bad, he told us who did it. He told, it got back to the city that the guys that did it, it was like, yo, Big L.
His name carried weight in Harlem, both behind the mic and on the block. Even legends who made it out still speak on how quick he was to stand his ground, no hesitation. Big L stayed loyal to his roots, especially with his deep ties to a Harlem street crew called NFL, short for Niggas for Life, run by his older brother, Big Lee. That connection pulled him into real-life heat, not just neighborhood whispers, but situations that could turn deadly fast. One of those stories involved a long-buried fallout with none other than Madollery. In 2024, Madollery finally addressed it on It Is What It Is, revealing how tension brewed back when they were both part of the same early rap crew, Children of the Corn. The lineup was iconic: Cameron, Bloodshed, Herb McGroth, all grinding together in the early 90s. But Big L was already ahead of the pack, catching fire with gritty mixtape verses. When he dropped Lifestyle as Ov de Poor and Dangerous in 1995, the streets crowned him. The critics? They could not deny the talent. But a year later, Madollery pivoted, signing with Bad Boy Records and leaving the streets behind for glitz, glam, and platinum dreams.
Got on, it was like LL,
Yeah,
you know, he was
right.
he was a guy, he took us everywhere to rap. And then when I got on, it was like the whole wave changed. It was like, this is what it looks like when a really get on.
That was the turning point. The friendship between Big L and Madollery started cracking, and the tension turned personal. Madollery did not hold back when he finally told the full story. According to him, Big L started mimicking his rhyme patterns, especially the way he bent syllables and made slick flips sound effortless. That crossed a line, so Madollery decided to pull up and have a real conversation. But instead of a calm talk, things got heated quick. Big L was not trying to hear it. He clapped back, sharp and aggressive, like he had been waiting for a reason.
I using a few of my lyrics, like different compounds that I was using. That's when you make two words rap at the same time. So I checked the nigga.
Not just words, syllables.
L went from rapper to Harlem General mode, zero hesitation, all action. Madollery claimed Big L called in reinforcements. Not just anyone, Fat Joe, the Bronx powerhouse and certified DITC member. That raised the stakes. Madollery remembered it clearly, like it happened yesterday. I told L, I'll knock you out, I know who you are, he said. But instead of squashing it one-on-one, L brought Bronx soldiers with Fat Joe leading the pack. The tension spilled into the streets and eventually into the club scene. At the Tunnel, New York's infamous nightlife warzone, Fat Joe pulled up on Madollery with nothing but pressure in his stare. No talk, no warnings, just silent heat.
Well, 40th on 7th to 41st, and the Spanish just run out of nowhere like, yo, give it up, I'm gonna kill both of you.
But what came next felt like something out of a crime flick. Madollery was cooling off in Harlem with his childhood friend God Shamgod, yeah, the same one who later coached in the NBA. They were just vibing when chaos erupted. Out of nowhere, a stick-up went down right in front of them. Madollery said he kept his cool, eased off his watch, and dropped it by a car tire like he knew the drill. Then he dipped, full sprint, with Shamgod beside him. Cops were nearby and swooped in just in time, catching the guy before things got worse. Even crazier, they recovered the watch. But what came next turned the whole situation upside down.
Beat the so bad, he told us who did it. He told, it got back to the city that the guys that did it, it was like, yo, Big L did.
Word started spreading fast. Madollery got phone calls from dudes locked up with the same guy who tried to rob him. And during a jailhouse beatdown, that guy supposedly sang like a bird. He told people Big L was the one who set the robbery up. That accusation hit hard. Madollery felt blindsided and furious. But it did not end there. In a later interview, Fat Joe confirmed pieces of the story, but with his own version. He said Big L came to him that night at the tunnel looking tense, like something heavy was about to pop off.
L come over to right? He like, yo, Crack, I need you. I said, yo, what's up? You know, Big L, my little brother. Yeah. I said, L, what's up? Nah. I got to holler at this and this and that. Pulls up to Mason Bethel, man.
Oh, man.
And I'm standing with L.
L approached Joe with a simple request. He had beef and needed backup. No questions, no explanations. Because of their bond through the DITC crew, Joe did not hesitate. He showed up deep, ready for whatever. But the moment they stepped into that club, Joe said the atmosphere changed instantly. He was blindsided when he realized the beef was with Mase. He had walked straight into a personal Harlem feud without knowing the stakes. As the tension rose, L shot Joe a look that said, "You just going to stand there or what?" Joe was not feeling it. He later admitted it felt like L had dragged him into a situation he was never built for. And from that night on, the dynamic shifted. Joe believed Mase probably saw him differently after that, like the trust they had evaporated in one night. Looking back, Joe said it was messy from the start, and he had no idea what he had gotten into, but Big L's drama did not stop at the street level. In the rap game, silent rivalries were brewing beneath the surface. One in particular involved the notorious B.I.G. Though it never officially turned into beef, the energy was tense. What many do not know is that before Biggie signed with Bad Boy, Diddy had his eyes on Big L. Back in the early 1990s, when Diddy was still working at Uptown Records, he was actively scouting talent, and Big L had his full attention. But by the time Diddy got serious, it was too late. Big L had already inked a deal with Columbia Records in 1992. The opportunity vanished, and soon after, Biggie entered the picture. Once Bad Boy blew up, Biggie became the face of the label, Platinum Records, mainstream spotlight, the whole package. But the comparisons did not stop there. Big L and Biggie had more in common than just names. L's right-hand man, Y, often said, J needs to catch up to L. Both L and Biggie were beasts on the mic, lyrical monsters who reshaped New York's rap landscape. Another key connection? Jay-Z. Most fans remember Biggie and Jay going bar for bar on Brooklyn's Finest, a legendary track. But many forget that Jay-Z also had serious history with Big L. Their iconic 1995 freestyle on the Stretch and Bobbito show? It was one of the rawest radio sessions ever recorded. Fans still say Big L owned that battle. While Biggie embraced the commercial lane and rose to fame, Big L remained gritty and underground. But do not get it twisted, their paths did cross. Word is, Big L even opened for Biggie on tour a few times. So, there was definitely some mutual professional respect. Then things got weird. Around the same time Big L dropped his debut lifestyle as Ovi de Poor and Dangerous in 1995, whispers started. One of the standout tracks, MVP, featured a smooth sample from DeBarge's Stay With Me. Not long after, Biggie released One More Chance, same sample. People started connecting the dots. Fans and insiders alike began to wonder, was Biggie biting L's sound? Some even argued that One More Chance was just a glossier version of MVP. Big L never said anything publicly, but the streets were buzzing. While there was no direct beef between L and Biggie, tension started bubbling between their respective crews. That is when the music faded into the background, and the streets took over. Big L's older brother, Big Lee, was a major Harlem player. He had close ties to Reggie, a serious figure connected to the NFL crew and linked with hitters like Black just from the Supreme Team. Reggie did not play games. Word is, he had an incident with a junior MAFIA member at a Chinese takeout spot. No words, just a stare, a flash of a strap, and a chain snatched. Rumor had it, the same chain was seen around Biggie's neck in an episode of Martin. After that incident, junior MAFIA was furious. Sources said they began hunting Reggie down, determined to get the chain back. But Reggie stood tall. According to word on the street, he told them straight, if they wanted it, they had to come take it, in blood. Meanwhile, Big L was making waves at New York's iconic Tunnel nightclub, Sunday night's elite spot. L was a regular there, often borrowing one of Reggie's icy chains to stunt in front of execs and bosses. In those rooms, image mattered. But here is where things took another wild turn. That chain Big L was rocking? People said it might have been the same one snatched from the junior MAFIA guy, possibly even from Biggie himself. Some say it was the exact same piece Biggie wore on Martin. If true, that was more than a flex, it was a direct shot. Still, for all the street tension and whispers of conflict, Big L's true legacy goes far beyond the drama. What made him legendary was not who he fought with, but what he created. The man was a lyrical genius. Every bar he wrote hit with purpose, precision, and fire. Big L was hip-hop in its rawest form, no gimmicks, just unmatched skill. He had the type of pen game that made even veteran rappers take notice. Both the streets and the music industry knew he was something special. Born Lamont Coleman on May 30, 1974, in Harlem, New York, L was the youngest of 3 siblings. Life was not easy. His father walked out early, leaving his mother to raise the family alone in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment on 139th Street and Lenox Avenue. Despite the hardships, L's passion for music and undeniable talent would make him a legend far beyond those Harlem blocks.
In a record store, I told him nice, put me on, told me to drop for him, I dropped me like this. We exchanged numbers, he thought let me open the shows. Then he put me on his remix single, you know.
Tensions between Big L and Mase did not erupt overnight. They had been building for some time beneath the surface. According to Mase, the breaking point came when Big L began imitating his lyrical flow, the slick, laid-back, syllable-packed delivery that Mase had carved out for himself. Feeling that his style was being copied without acknowledgement, Mase confronted Big L directly. But instead of diffusing the situation, the conversation turned heated. L was not the type to fold under pressure. He fired back, and from that point on, the beef was no longer behind closed doors. Mase claimed that Big L took it to the streets. Rather than squashing the disagreement, L escalated things by calling in reinforcements. And not just anyone, he brought Fat Joe, a Bronx heavyweight affiliated with the Diggin' in the Crates crew. Mase remembered the face-off clearly. "I told L I'd knock him out, I know you, bro," he said. L, unable to find backers from Harlem, showed up with Bronx hitters, making the moment feel more like a showdown than a conversation. Just days later, Mase had another unforgettable encounter. He was back in Harlem, hanging out with his childhood friend and basketball star God Shamgod. That night, a robbery went down right in front of them. Mase stayed calm, quietly slipped off his watch, dropped it behind a car tire, and dipped with Sham before things got out of control. The police moved in swiftly, arrested the suspect, and even recovered the watch. But what Mase heard afterward shocked him. Word from inside the jail was that the arrested man confessed during a beating that Big L had orchestrated the robbery. Mase felt betrayed. In the streets, trust is currency, and setting someone up like that was the ultimate violation. The whispers got louder when Fat Joe, in a later interview, confirmed that Big L had approached him at the Tunnel nightclub, saying he had problems and needed help. Joe thought it was street business. He had no idea it was about Mase until he showed up and saw what was really going on. Joe said Big L gave him a look like, "You just gonna stand there?" From that moment, Joe admitted, the air shifted. Loyalty lines got blurred, but Big L's issues were not just with Mase. Rumors swirled about silent friction between L and the notorious B.I.G. Nothing public, but there was a certain unease. Before Biggie became a bad boy superstar, Diddy had actually shown interest in Big L. Back when Diddy was still at Uptown Records, he had spotted L's raw potential. But by the time he got serious, L was already signed to Columbia in 1992. That train had left the station. Meanwhile, Biggie stepped into the spotlight and took off. Both Biggie and Big L were connected to Jay-Z, and that connection led to one of the most legendary freestyles in rap history. In 1995, Stretch and Bobbito hosted a session where Big L and Jay-Z went toe-to-toe. Fans still say Big L stole the show that day. When Biggie later released One More Chance, people noticed he used the same sample that Big L had used for his track MVP. The streets started whispering. Was Biggie taking cues from L's style? L never publicly addressed it, but the speculation lingered. Things got more serious when street ties entered the picture. Big L's older brother, Big Lee, was a respected figure in Harlem with deep connections. One of his closest associates was Reggie, tied to the NFL crew and affiliated with names like Black Just from the Supreme Team. Reggie had a moment of his own drama when he reportedly confronted a junior MAFIA member at a Chinese takeout spot. No conversation, just a silent flash of a weapon and a chain snatching. The buzz around that incident only grew when people claimed that the chain Reggie snatched ended up in Biggie's wardrobe and was even seen on an episode of Martin. But Reggie wasn't hiding. According to word on the street, when people came looking for the chain, Reggie stood tall. "If they want it, they'll have to take it in blood," he allegedly said. To make matters worse, Big L was often seen at the Tunnel wearing one of Reggie's chains. Some even believed it was the stolen one. If that was true, it wasn't just bold, it was war. Yet Big L's story was much bigger than his beefs. Born Lamont Coleman on May 30, 1974, in Harlem, he was the youngest of 3 siblings. His father left early, and his mother raised them alone in a tiny two-room apartment at 139th Street and Lenox Avenue. Even as a kid, L stood out. The turning point came when his brother took him to see Run DMC at age 7. From that moment, hip-hop had him hooked. By 12, he was freestyling on the block, trading bars with older kids, and writing obsessively. At 16, L formed his first rap groups, 3 The Hard Way and later 2 Hard Mothers. When those folded, he pressed on solo. In 1990, fate stepped in when he met Lord Finesse at an autograph signing on 125th Street. L freestyled on the spot, and Finesse was impressed. That freestyle cracked open the door to the industry. Soon, Big L appeared on MTV Raps, featured on Showbiz and AG Records, and became a legend on the underground circuit. By 1992, Columbia Records signed him. His debut single Devil's Son introduced a gritty, horrorcore style that shook the streets. Big L also co-founded Children of the Corn, a Harlem supergroup that included Cameron, then known as Killa Cam, Mase, Bloodshed, and McGrove. The crew was stacked with potential, but tragedy struck when Bloodshed died in a car crash in 1997. The group never recovered. Still, L moved forward, releasing Lifestyle as OV de Poor and Dangerous in 1995. Though radio did not support him, the album became a lyrical classic. Tracks like Put It On and MVP showcased his sharp wordplay, but Columbia struggled to market him. They dropped him in 1996. Unfazed, Big L went indie, joined Diggin' in the Crates, and built his brand in Europe. He launched Flamboyant Entertainment, a label meant to give street lyricists a real platform. His single Ebonics became an underground anthem, breaking down Harlem slang with surgical precision. The Source magazine named it one of the top indie releases of the year. That was when Rockefeller came calling. Dame Dash wanted Big L on the label. But L was not coming alone, he wanted his team signed too, including McGrove and even Jay-Z. The vision was a Harlem movement within Rockefeller, called the Wolf Pack. Plans were forming. The streets were buzzing. But before that dream could take shape, everything fell apart. In February 1999, Big L was shot and killed on his own block in Harlem. He was only 24. The loss was felt across the industry. A voice so raw, so potent, gone too soon, but his legacy? Unshakable. Big L remains one of hip-hop's greatest lyricists. A Harlem icon. A mic killer. And to this day, his name lives on in verses, in whispers, and in what could have been. He was not just a rapper. He was a movement.